Hello everyone. I stand here today as a mum to share with you a personal family story and the journey of learning that followed that. March 1999, my husband and I were sitting outside our home reflecting on how lucky we were and how grateful we were for what we had in our life in Hong Kong. We'd worked very hard to get to Hong Kong. We'd met in Hong Kong. We had a beautiful daughter fast asleep upstairs called Rian, and I was heavily pregnant with our younger daughter, Catherine. Within the next 36 hours, our life turned upside down. We have a window of 17 minutes where we don't know how much oxygen Catherine received during the birth process. Shortly, when she entered the world, there was no heartbeat, no breathing. She was resuscitated, and shortly after that, she sustained a major neonatal seizure. She was heavily sedated, and all her primitive reflexes were lost. This photo should have come up a tiny bit later, but here it is. This is the first time I met Catherine in this world, and it wasn't the picture I was expecting. It wasn't the dream I was expecting. And the doctor spoke to us, and the prognosis was very grim. What he told us was that she would, if she survived the first 3 days, she'd likely survive. If she survived, though, there would be very significant complications. She would definitely be physically compromised. Highly likely she would have no vision, no hearing, no speech, and be mentally compromised. There was not a lot of hope for our newborn child and for us as parents. Moving forward was obviously a significant time. Catherine did come out of hospital 6 weeks later with no tubes. But how do we move ourselves forward? Learning for me became a very steep curve, and it fell into two parts. The first part was knowledge, information. What did I need to know about this condition? And hearing Mark's talk and all the words of basal ganglia and things reminded me very much of the knowledge I needed to know. But in some respects, that was the easier knowledge. The harder knowledge was me and my attitude. What did I do to help myself learn to take the situation on and move forward? 3 main turning points happened for me. The first was reading a book about cerebral palsy, and I came across a chapter on worry and how much energy our body consumes and our mind consumes when we worry about things. And if we could channel that energy into the situation at hand, we could actually make a difference to what was happening, to the situation. This resonated well with me. I can't say it happened overnight, but it sat there. The second thing was acceptance of what happened on that night in March. I couldn't turn the clocks backwards. Nothing in my power would change that evening. Nothing in my family's power, nothing in any higher being's power was going to change that event. But I could look forward. And the third thing, I started to recognize I actually had a choice. And that choice was did I want to just survive, and did I want my family just to survive? Because that's all we were doing at that stage. Minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day. It was survival. But I had a small one, a young child, Rian. Did she deserve to survive or to live? Richard and I had a really good relationship. I'd waited a long time to meet him. Did I want that to survive, or did I want us to live? Catherine didn't ask for what happened to her to happen to her. It shouldn't have happened. Should she survive, or should we give her the best possible option on living and moving forward? So, in a nutshell, over a period of time, I decided that for us and the family, and we decided together, we would move forward. Now, how do we do this? We firstly concentrated on the physical side, because the physical side was obviously very damaged, and could we do something about it? And we spent the next 2 years in a very intensive neurodevelopmental program, trying to reprogram Catherine's brain. Maybe to sit, maybe to crawl. But we recognized that wasn't actually working. We weren't going very far with it. So a turning point came for us, and this is in a way where Catherine's learning really started. We noticed she was interacting with her world. Oh, and by the way, she was actually seeing and hearing by now. And she was involved in what was going on. And I believe this was because we had a smaller child and we were doing normal things. We were reciting nursery rhymes. We were singing songs. We watched The Wiggles 100 times. and reading. We did all these normal things. So there was another level of acceptance. Did we accept that the physical side wasn't going to move? And should we concentrate on maybe she's understanding? Maybe her cognition's okay. Maybe we can move forward. And that's actually what we did. And a wonderful person came into our lives, Tracy Kim, who is a speech therapist by profession and an AAC specialist, alternate augmentative communication. And it's Tracy who helped us to find out what Catherine was understanding. The first time we met Tracy, Tracy asked if she could hold Catherine. Catherine's in this photo here with Tracy. Unbeknownst to me as I went out to the room, Tracy gave Catherine a choice. She said to her, if you want to come into this world and communicate and connect to this world, you need to show us you can. And she told Catherine to use her eyes to answer the question she was going to give. So when we were all back in the room, Tracy said to Catherine, where's Mum? Straight to me. Show me Dad. Straight to my husband Richard. Where's Rian? Straight to Rian. Where's the door? Show me the fan. And Catherine followed all of these with her eyes. And her eyes are her most powerful asset. From here, we had to decide how we would move this forward, because she was obviously taking things in, but we needed to get expressive language out in order for her to learn. A long journey ensued. Initially, Catherine had bands on her wrists, and she would look at a green one for yes, she'd look at a red one for no. These days, she looks up for no, she looks down for yes. And we gave her choices with our hands, and we moved forward from here. It's a very long journey from where she is today. We moved to pictures and symbols and a communication language called MinSpeak, which allowed her a language that would give her the most vocabulary she could use. Because did you know that 50% of what we say uses 100 core words? We use a lot more words, but by giving her those core words and a language called MinSpeak, it's allowed her to start interacting with her world. Let me show you how Catherine communicates with us now. Ooh, what's that? This board is made up of core language. Catherine has to find the word she wants to use, and you'll notice they're all in 4 rows and 4 columns. She will tell us by looking in the corner. She'll see 1, 2, 3, 4 in the corners. She will look and tell us the row, and then she'll tell us the column, rather like graphs at school. And this is the way she communicates with us, and this is the way she does her learning at school. High tech also was in her favor, and listening to some of the talks today, I'm hoping there'll be a next level of high tech for her. But high tech is good as long as you can access it. Catherine's limbs and her body were not doing what she wanted them to do. So we tried switches. We'd have a switch on her elbow, on her hand, on her knee, on her foot, under her nose, but none of it were consistent. So we came back to her eyes. And her eyes being the most powerful part of her body, she now has an eye control computer, an eye gaze computer. We do have a few issues with it. She does struggle to hold her gaze, and we've got some challenges going forward, but we ain't giving up on it because it's the most independent means of communication she's going to have. I'm going to briefly touch on schooling, but very, very briefly. Catherine has been through mainstream schooling in ESF schools in Hong Kong. She was in Clearwater Bay Primary School, moved into KG5 Secondary School. She is in the Learning Support Class Unit now, only because some gaps emerged in her learning. And when you communicate not using your voice or speech, everything takes time. So she needs time to be able to give her answers. But I want to share with you a wonderful experience that happened just after Easter. One of my main concerns for the future has been about what would Catherine do after she's left school. Her physical needs are huge, and obviously she has communication, but it's still evolving. The year 10s at KG5 go out for work experience, and so was Katrin. Well, what was she going to do? With the wonderful team of people that do work with her, they came up with a suggestion, which Katrin agreed to go back to her primary school, Clearwater Bay, and work as an assistant in the classroom. And this is what Katrin did. And here's what Katrin actually did in the classroom, because I was concerned about how productive could she be? What influence could she have? And here she is listening to one of the P1 children read, because Katrin's reading now is really good. She listened to them read. She asked them questions on her talker. She read to them using her digital output on her talker. She even had to do a bit of maths, which she doesn't like very much at all, but she had to do it. And what was wonderful was the experience, not just for Katrin, but for those other children. The inclusion was fantastic. But what they saw was not a disability. They saw the person. They just want to be with her, read her stories. I think that's something that we need to be aware of in Hong Kong. Disability is still a big challenge here, the awareness of disability and what disability means. And there's a long way to go on it. It's going to be one of my next goals, to try and find that platform in Hong Kong, beyond supporting parents, to take the good work that's going and pull it together in a constructive way. So let's show you Katrin now. She's a teenager. Yes, she has cerebral palsy, and she's very dependent on others for her daily needs, her physical needs. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But she's quite typical. She's moody, she's stubborn, she argues with her sister, and she swears really well in her head. And I know this because she can spell all the words, and she spells them to me, and she knows the acronyms. What does Katrin like to do? She likes to be as normal as the rest of us. So we have a family motto now. Here she's on an adapted bicycle that she used for sports day. She loves to come on the beach with us, so we adapted the chair with beach wheels. Our family motto is now, we don't do problems, we do solutions. Thank you. I reflect back on that conversation with Richard many years ago, and I asked myself the question, am I still grateful now? And I am. Very grateful. I have a wonderful family. I have an older daughter who's bright and well-adjusted. I have a great husband, and I have a younger daughter who still inspires me to help her to learn. And in addition to this, there are many other people out there who have greater challenges than we do. I have friends who maybe don't have one disabled child, they have two. They have children with autism, genetic disorders, that all bring their different challenges. And I take my hat off to them. I'd like to finish now with something that Katrin wrote, because she's been into poetry recently, and in fact, she won a poetry competition just recently in the Hong Kong Young Writers Award. She was in a category for people who learn in a different way, and that was a poem on the Gobi Desert. But this is one she wrote using a magnetic poetry kit, using her eyes again to make her choices. To say goodbye to a friend of hers called Gloria, who passed away in year 9. Just give you a moment to read that. I think you'll agree with me, it's not a conventional poem, but I hope you see the intent of the poem. And what I hope you see is the person and not the disability. But ultimately, that's our choice. Thank you very much.